The following is a production of cprundown.com. The views and opinions expressed by the hosts of this podcast are those of the individual and not of any affiliated companies. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rundown on Fun, a weekly podcast covering the Six Flags Entertainment Corporation, the amusement industry, and everything to do with fun. Here are your hosts, Carsten Anderson, Evan Schultz, and Kyle Hu.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Rundown on Fun, a weekly podcast where we cover the Six Flags Entertainment Corporation, Cedar Point, and everything to do with fun. All right, I'm glad to see that after, 3 weeks, I still remember my lines. I might not remember how to get a podcast started, but I can remember my lines.
And yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, I'm glad we actually could find some software. Yeah. Behind the curtain, it's been kind of a disaster since Skype decided to close their doors, and we're just trying to find some podcast software that doesn't frickin' screw up and give us echoey stuff and so on and so forth. But yeah. And it's nice and late right now. And so let's get the show on the road, I think. But anyway, let's hit it off with a home run, because you know what? I think the park maybe waited and they're like, hey, I think the guys are actually going to be recording an episode tonight, which is Wednesday, June 5th? 4th. Yeah, June 4th. And Evan, you want to share the breaking news?
Yeah, breaking news as of, 4 hours ago, something like that. It would have been 3 hours ago had we recorded on time, but Sirens Curse has an opening day. Sirens Curse is opening on Saturday, June 28th.
Woohoo!
The park is open at 10 a.m. that day. Sirens Curse is not an early entry. So 10 a.m. on June 28th, you will finally be able to ride Sirens Curse. If you want to ride it early, though,
Yes. Early.
There's one opportunity that's been announced, and that is there is a Sirens Curse charity preview event on Thursday, June 26th from 6 p.m. till 10 p.m. And I'll just a little blurb on the website. I'll read from it real quick. North America's tallest, longest, and fastest tilt coaster has arrived, and you can be among the first public riders to take on Sirens Curse at an exclusive charity event. You'll have private access to ride Sirens Curse before it opens to the general public on Saturday, June 28th. Plus, enjoy admission, general parking, a single meal deal voucher, and a special event gift. Made to thrill poster, probably. I'm not guaranteeing that, but that sounds like pretty likely. Maybe. All this while supporting prayers from Maria in their fight against childhood brain cancer. So awesome cause. That is the same charity that Top Thrill 2 used last year for its charity event. So you get all of that for $125. That is a flat rate. It doesn't matter if you're a pass holder. So I know pass holders already get that admission and parking and probably a meal, assuming you have the meal plan, but is what it is. It's a great cause. So definitely, if you are available that night, go for it. So that's all to say. We have an opening day. I wouldn't guarantee anything, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a pass holder event on that Friday, June 27th. So, this is exciting. We're here. They said early summer, and it is indeed opening in early summer.
And what's crazy is I feel like the 28th is kind of like a later date than what they were thinking, because I think Ohio, for some reason, has been like a crazy wet sponge all of May. Literally every single day, it's either been cold or raining or whatever. So I'm sure that's definitely hampered some of their opportunities to get things where they wanted to get done and stuff and everything. Because I really think that they were shooting for probably maybe more Memorial Day weekend or
just ASAP
or CoasterMania,
Well, they thought it might, right? They thought it might because it was on the schedule.
Well, so speaking of that, on the ERT list for CoasterMania, they updated that Sirens Curse is scheduled to open to the public on Saturday, June 28th, and will not be available for CoasterMania. They updated that, but they still didn't take ERT on Sirens Curse off of the ERT list.
That's an interesting way of doing it.
So, maybe?
Don't get your hopes up.
Yeah, this guy from Florida wants to get, a twofer.
Yeah, he thinks everything gets a soft open. That's not how it works up here.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's not like Disney and Universal.
That's how it should work.
He thinks that when things are announced to open a particular date, they actually open about 2 months prior.
Right. Yeah. But you know what though? I'm excited we finally got the date, out of the way. And they I saw that they pictures online that they already updated the banner and it says June 28th opening day, which is cool. But yeah, I mean, I can't freaking wait. I can't, like, I'm over the moon. Like,
I'm just glad we have a date, something that like specific to look forward to instead of just like maybe.
Or, well, you know what? We're a lot better off than Canada's Wonderland's their coaster. They actually they just finished their construction today and everything today too. So I'm not gonna lie. I honestly I don't. Well, it would have to revisit an old episode, but I think I remember saying like what was going to open first. I think we said Wrath of Rakshasa was going to open first, and I think then we said Alpenfury and Canada's Wonderland I think was going to open second, and then Sirens Curse was going to open.
I know my main.
I can't remember.
I know my main like debate was Wrath versus Sirens Curse, and boy, Wrath went up quick. Wrath went up really, really quick.
It did.
And typical Six Flags.
Yeah. And I was going to say just a little bit more on Sirens Curse. If you do visit the park, you can see it testing. It's pretty trippy. Literally watching it tilt right in front of you, and you're like, "Dear God, I hope that train doesn't fall." Like, literally on the midway. There's so many redundancies on it, so it's not going to fall. There's so like every time I post a video, like people are like, "Oh my God, I'm not riding that," or "Oh my God, that train's going to fall." No, it won't. Neither. It won't fall. It'll be okay. But it's meant to get you all scared and whatever. And people are like, it's not very tall. I'm like, well, it's also between, Valraven, which is, a really tall coaster. And then you've also got Top Thrill 2's Spike, which is 420 feet tall. So, I mean, it looks
shorter. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think it's 160 feet. Something like that. But
something I want to mention that I don't think we've mentioned is they're adding a lot of extra theming that I don't think we anticipated, with just like painting the supports to look like rusty and decrepit, and then some of them being painted to have like algae growing on them and stuff like that. And it looks like maybe they're prepping to maybe put a pond in. That's not confirmed or anything, but that seems very likely if you look at it from Iron Dragon's exit. Or like when you're don't take your phone out on. God, I feel like a broken record. It's like Top Thrill 2 all over again. Don't take your phone out on rides, but if you're on Valraven or Rougarou, you could really get a good look inside the construction area, and it definitely looks like the area where the ride's going to go underground. They might have a bit of a pond around that too. Kind of shout out to Anaconda at Kings Dominion, rest in peace. But that's something that was totally like not expected, and I think the theming on this is going to be like way better than we ever expected.
Yeah. I think that they got maybe a cheaper version of, well, not a cheaper version, but they maybe didn't have to pay a big amount of money for this coaster. So then maybe they had a lot of money left in the bucket, and they're like, "Oh, let's do this. Oh, let's do this. Oh, right. Hey, why don't we do this? Because we've got this much money in the budget." They're like, "Okay, sure."
Or maybe they always planned it, but they weren't really sure like timing and stuff, so they didn't want to like promise it.
Right. Yeah, for sure. But I'm super stoked. What I am stoked about is let's Top Thrill 2, man. Top Thrill 2. It's been cooking like I don't know, a bowl of spaghetti on the hot stove. It has been right. It's been over a month or so since the park opened for the season. And it's been open every single day. Like, it hasn't been, I mean, obviously
the only days it hasn't been open was weather.
It's going to have some issues just because, it's a brand new ride. Same with like Millennium Force and stuff and everything. You don't have to worry about it breaking down and stuff and everything just because it's got a brand new ride. It's going to have bugs, things like that. It's going to happen. But I'm super stoked about it. By the way, shout out. I don't remember your name, but I said I was going to shout you out on the podcast. I remember the last podcast I did was solo. It was me talking about Wrath of Rakshasa. But I met you over at Top Thrill 2's exit, and so shout out to you for listening. I can't remember your name, so I do apologize. But if you are at the park again, feel free to come say hi again, and I'll get your name this time. But yeah, and then switching gears just a smidge. Before I talk about our next topic, we will be having, if anyone's going to CoasterMania or anyone's going to be at that park, you don't even have to be attending that CoasterMania event or anything. We are having a group photo right in front of the Iron Dragon sign. And then for the first time ever, we've never done this. We're actually going to do a ride takeover. What is that? What is a ride takeover? Literally, so we're going to take the photo, and then after we're done taking the photo, whoever shows up and wants to ride, we're all just going to get into the regular line for Iron Dragon and then ride Iron Dragon. And I really hope that we end up with, like, I don't know, 50 to 60 people, because I think
the goal is to walk up to the group and be like, hi, we have 50.
Yeah, right. And then also a big picture moment. If everyone's like, it's Iron Dragon, like, I don't well,
we're just seeing if we could pull this off.
Right. Yeah, we're seeing if we can pull this off, because we have bigger plans later on in the season to possibly do like a Millennium Force takeover. Like, we'll get in line maybe at the end of the night and we'll just like hang out. And if you see me or Kyle, you're going to be in town and stuff, so feel free to say hi to us. We're not going to bite or anything. And if you have any questions for us, feel free. But that is going to be at 3:45 at the Iron Dragon sign, unless my tour for CoasterMania, the boat around the cruise, is at that time. Then I will obviously have to change the time. But currently 3:45. But yeah, so jumping into what I was going to talk about. So Wrath of Rakshasa, I got to tell you a little bit about that and everything. That is a fun little, it's not a little dive coaster. That's a fun dive coaster. I think that's great for Six Flags Great America. I know, after I recorded my episode, I definitely got a lot more laps on it. And I could say without a shadow of a doubt, at least in my opinion, I think that is probably the best dive coaster I've ever been on. And I've been on a lot. I've been on the Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. I've been on Busch Gardens, Tampa, obviously Valraven at Cedar Point, Yukon Striker I've been on. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything else. I might be. No, yeah. Let me just say, why do I think it's like the best, at least in my opinion? The pacing is extremely good.
There's no mid-course.
There's no mid-course, so it's going really just balls of the wall, literally, until you like hit the brakes. And then also what I really liked was there's no like downtime. So like you'll have an element, and I talked about it in the last recording I did. You'll have like an element, and then you'll like have a break, and then you have an element and then a break, and an element and have a break. And it was just absolutely perfect. So literally as soon as like you get done with your fifth element, you're almost like swooping right back into the breaks and just having a good time. So it seems like the park, I'm reading some stuff on the group page and everything, for the one of the unofficial group pages, and it looks like everyone seems to love it. They're like, oh my gosh, like I just waited 2 hours for this. It's
Sounds
like
one
of
it's
my
running really consistently too.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna have some bugs, just like Top Thrill 2 will have bugs and Sirens Curse will have bugs and everything. But I mean, it was fun. It was really good. Again, thanks again to Tony Clark for inviting us out. It was fun.
And it's weird to say in regard to Six Flags,
right? Yeah,
thanks, Tony, for inviting me to Six Flags Great America.
Great America, yeah. And then I also got to ride Max Force, their crazy launch coaster. If you've never been to that park, you need to visit it because they've got a lot of good coasters there, some oldies and some really good ones. Like the Batman's got all of the crazy theming back to it, and it's got like fog in the station and stuff, and going through like different kind of lighting patterns and stuff and everything. Really, really fun. I know I talked a lot, but yeah, so definitely check out Wrath of Rakshasa and make sure you come to our group photo at 3:45 on CoasterMania Day and this coming Friday. So
one thing I do want to say about Six Flags and specifically Max Force, if you miss Top Thrill Dragster and that insane initial launch, go ride Max Force, because I think that one literally is more intense. It's nuts, absolutely nuts.
Yeah, so whew, that was fun. But speaking of fun, Evan, we didn't get to record last week because we were kind of busy.
Yeah, we're driving to Kings Island.
We were, yeah.
Packing for Kings Island, whichever day.
What were we doing at Kings Island, buddy?
This was my only coaster event that I'll get to do this year. We were at CoasterStock. CoasterStock was back. Last year they took the year off because Ace held their spring conference at Kings Island. So this year they brought CoasterStock back. And if you don't know what CoasterStock is, it's one of the best coaster events out there. It's Friday and Saturday. It's a bunch of early ride time, extra ride time after the park closes. There's so many behind the scenes tours. Mm-hmm. This year, they had a lot of the same ones, but then they added this year behind the scenes of Adventure Express and Flight of Fear, which we've only done, I think, once before, and it wasn't while the park was open. This was while the park was open, so we got to watch Flight of Fear cycle over and over and over again from inside the building, which was incredible. Even just to stand there in that mass of steel was just so cool. And then they give us 2 meals, one each day. And, of course, the highlight is always the Beast at Night rides. Gosh. I think we got close to 10 combined over the 2 days. We rode Orion a bunch of times at night. I will say that, this was, probably the best surprise. Even though Friday had crappy weather for the day and the morning ERT, this was, the only year I've been to CoasterStock that we didn't have a giant thunderstorm ruin one of the evening ERT sessions.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know how many tickets they sold to the event, but it was whatever it was the perfect amount because there was enough people that have felt lively and stuff. But I also wasn't waiting in line to get on anything during ERT, which is huge. That's kind of the whole point of ERT. So yeah, that was a really, really, really good time this year. I mean, we always have a great time at CoasterStock, but this year in particular, it just seemed like everything went really smoothly. The park itself was great. They had drinks available during ERT, which is huge. That Powerade after marathoning Beast it hits a spot. So, Cedar Point, just saying. Yeah, I can't complain. I'm glad that if I was only going to get to do one event this year, that it was CoasterStock.
Yeah, I was going to say it was really nice. It wasn't really in the itinerary or anything, but when we did the Beast Walkback, they actually they've got a limited edition. I think what was it called? Beast?
I don't know. The local ice cream parlor graders.
Yeah, they came out with a Beast themed ice cream this year at Kings Island that you can buy in the park, or you can also, I think, buy in the retail section down in Cincinnati and stuff. But literally, they had
cookie dough, isn't it?
Yeah, it was like cookie dough and there's sprinkles mixed in it, and I'm just I don't know. It was hot. It started finally to get hot a little bit, and I was like, oh, and then all of a sudden we just saw a giant ice cream truck, and I'm like, oh my God. We're getting the Beast ice cream. And so if you have a chance, definitely check that out because that was
nice of them to hand that
really
out.
Nice. And it was really good and then also, oh my gosh, we had the Q&A and stuff and everything, we got to listen to Tom from
PTC.
And we found out, that he wasn't a fan of working at the tile factory.
God, if you were there, you understand.
If anybody sees us at CoasterMania or just at least meetups or anything like that we plan this year, feel free to ask Evan, and he will tell you the story about working at the tile factory for Tom.
Listen, Tom was great. Thanks, Tom,
for
coming
it.
From PTC to Kings Island.
That's how
great stories. He was just very adamant on telling us all that he hated working at the tile factory. It became comical.
And then
God, we're terrible.
And then also we found I got to meet one of the founders or the founder of Kings Island. I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything, but he's a really really old dude, right? Kings Island is what 52, 53 something. So I mean, he's probably in his 80s, maybe 90s, I don't know, but he shared some really cool stories, and it was really cool because he literally had no bleep on him, so he was like cussing up a storm and stuff, like an old, like you literally thought like it was like your grandpa just telling you like one of the old stories and stuff.
When was this? Was I still in bed?
No,
was I still sleeping?
yeah, I think he's something like that. And so he was talking about how I don't remember for sure, but I think it was like how they wanted the racer built, and how the person that built the racer was kind of retired, and then I guess like he kept coming back to him and back to him. I could be super wrong, because it was really like I was kind of like sleepy, so I apologize if I get any of this wrong. But at least in my head, I believe he was talking about how he wanted the racer built and so on and so forth. Approached this person that was like semi-retired.
John
Yes.
Allen.
Yes. And he was like, no, no, no. And then I guess he just kept bugging him. And then he's like, all right, excuse my language. He's like, all right, God damn it. He's like, I'll do it, you know. And so it was a good time. And he was just talking about the memories and things like that, where Kings Island pretty much came from and stuff. So that was really cool to see. And yeah, unfortunately, you know, we actually got some sad news since we obviously haven't been recording or anything, but Six Flags has been doing some budget cuts, I guess you could say, and trying to get things in order and trying to get rid of, I guess, like X amount of staff and stuff and everything, the repetitiveness. But anyway, Six Flags, Mike Kuntz from Kings Island. I can't talk
Jesus,
tonight.
Carsten.
There we go. Kings Island, the general manager, unfortunately from Kings Island, retired at CoasterStock on Saturday. So we got to see him one final time and stuff, and he shared some memories and you know, thanked us and everything and whatnot. So it was really good to see him. Kind of sad that
I should mention that they in their evening fireworks and drone show, they added a little thank you, Mike, in the drones. That was nice.
Yeah,
that was cool. And that
definitely
that
gave you
show's
some feels.
fantastic too.
Yeah. If you like drones, fireworks, and
especially the drones, good lord.
Yeah, the drones were really good.
If
really
little quote unquote insider thing, if you only really care about the drones and you don't care about the lights on International Street, but you want to get up close and personal to the drones, stand by the 3-point shootout game by Queen City Stunt Coaster. Great view, like basically where Vortex was.
Yeah,
awesome view. That was so cool.
Yeah,
that was so cool.
And if you don't care about the show, but you like fireworks, or you just want to see the drones in person, you literally, I believe, you can ride Diamondback. At least I think, yeah, yep. Diamondback was going when the fireworks were going.
Yep.
And you could literally ride coasters and watch fireworks at the same time.
And see the drones like at eye level.
yeah. So that's kind of a cool thing. But
yeah.
I think that's probably all I have. Yeah.
The one other thing that wasn't on the itinerary that they surprised us with was they gave us the first showing of the year of the Gazillion Bubble show was reserved for CoasterStock members. The show opened for the season on Saturday, but at 7 p.m. on Friday, only CoasterStock attendees got to see the first showing. And that was my first time seeing a show like that. I guess they've done it at Kings Island before. It was at Dollywood a few years ago, and I think it was the same guy. This is a third-party act that travels around and kind of picks a park to hang out at for the year. And yeah, that was really cool. It was not quite what I expected.
There's a lot of bubbles and
a lot
some
of lasers, a lot of
yeah.
It was wild.
It's awesome. I love it.
No words I use to explain it can properly explain it, so just go see it yourself. I think shows are at like 3 times a day.
And what's really cool is like if you're sitting in the back, you're like, I probably won't get any bubbles. No. You'll get the bubbles. Don't trust me.
I counted for you all. There indeed was a gazillion bubbles.
Oh, I was like, you kept count, huh?
Exactly.
Like 1, 2, 3. Okay. All
yep.
right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly.
You kept one of those little counters in your pocket, and you're just like,
I saw every single one. Every single bubble was accounted for, and it equaled a gazillion, which is definitely a real number.
Speaking of gazillion, Kyle, we're going to be absolutely exhausted on Friday, but we're going to ride like a gazillion hours and a gazillion hours at the park that you decided that you're going to be staying at Hotel Breakers with Justin, separate rooms.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about what you want to talk about with CoasterMania.
Well, after last year's shenanigans of not getting back to my parents' place until about 2 a.m. and then getting up at like 4, I decided that I needed to stay at Breakers Thursday night and Friday night this year, so I'll be staying at Breakers Thursday night and Friday night.
Okay.
Bougie.
Yeah, I know. Justin's picking me up from the airport tomorrow and taking me to... It's funny because he's in Miami right now, so we're flying into Detroit at like the same time, like within a half hour of each other, and then he's just going to take me straight from the airport to Hotel Breakers because he's already got his bag packed. He's good to go.
That's awesome.
So anyway, yeah, the schedule for CoasterMania this year, it's a little bit different, but let's get into it. So from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. is when you check in for the event. Check-in will be available at the Magnum XL 200 gate only. Bring your event ticket and admission or season pass. Parking will be available in the Cedar Point Shores Water Park parking lot. The Magnum gate will open at 7 a.m. And then from 7:30 to 9 a.m., we have ERT on Millennium Force, Iron Dragon, and Gatekeeper.
Love it.
Yeah, from 8:30 to 10. ERT on Sirens Curse is still listed, even though they said that it's not going to be open. So think what you want about that. I'm hopeful. I'm also hopeful that when it's not open, because I know it won't be open, that they add Wild Mouse to the lineup like they did last year when Top Throw 2 was down. Remember the scream of sheer joy that I let out when Tony said that Wild Mouse was added to the list? Love that thing. Anyway, from 8:30 to 10 a.m., we have ERT on Blue Streak, Valraven, and Raptor. Love it. And then from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., at any time in that window, you can stop by Point Plaza and pick up your event t-shirt.
I'm excited for that. I can't wait to see, because there's been no like leaks or anything, so I'm curious to see what the event t-shirt looks like.
And then from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., there are continuous cruises. Cruise tickets will be distributed at morning check-in, and we are unable to exchange timed cruise tickets. If your entire party is not present, plan accordingly. So basically, if you get there at 7 and your friend gets there at 10, you're not going to be on the same cruise. So plan accordingly.
Yep. And don't whine about it.
Yep. And you board at the Cedar Point Marina outside of the Valraven Gate. And then from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., there is a special access photo op at Millennium Force. It says, celebrate 25 years of Millennium Force with a behind-the-fence photo op. And this is continuous from 1 to 3 p.m., and you arrive through the barnyard anytime. And then from 5:30 to 7 is dinner in Lakeside Pavilion. And then we get into the night ERTs. So from 10 to 11 is ERT on Magnum XL 200. And then from 10:30-ish until midnight is ERT.
Does it actually say that?
It does. Yeah. It says 10:30-ish to midnight. And then it says ERT will begin as soon as the regular line has ended. We have ERT on Top Thrill 2, Steel Vengeance, and Maverick.
Heck yeah.
And
at least you won't have to like
ERT
be
schedule.
At least you won't have to be like sitting at Hotel Breakers being like, and just seeing Top Thrill 2 test like in the middle of the night, like
he's just gonna do that with Sirens Curse this time.
Yeah, right.
I don't understand. Why would you still leave it on the event lineup, but then put a disclaimer under it that it's not going to be available? Why don't just take it off completely?
Give each of you a one-time ride pass so that you can go ride it before the public, like a month before the public.
No, I think they're going to open it. it, Evan.
You know, I'm on the same.
Listen, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying they won't.
The only reason I'm like, it just gives me a little glimmer of hope is Wrath of Rakshasa Media Day was like, I think a week and a half before actually open to the public and stuff, because they still had to do some things. So I was like, maybe, I don't know. Maybe they could be like, they could be like, oh, we got one train cert and we literally can, you get to ride it literally once. And this is your special way, or special way of that. Or there could be another option. There could also be, say, whoever attended CoasterMania and had a CoasterMania tickets gets invited to Sirens Curse's Media Day. Maybe that day they might have something like that. I don't know. Or maybe it's just they just left it on there just because they didn't want to delete it, because then it'd be like, oh, well, what happened to that?
You know what? No, you know what my guess is? They're going to give each, assuming it doesn't open, they're going to give each of y'all a one-time up the exit.
I could see something like that. Yeah, I could see something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, the park will make it right, which is nice. It's not just like, "Oops, sorry." Oh, well.
Yeah.
I don't think they even need to make it right. It's opening early summer, just like they said it was.
And they did list when they put this ERT schedule together. They did list that it was scheduled to open in early summer and would possibly not be available. Yeah. So they don't really owe anybody anything. I
gotta laugh, and I feel like I always complain about people on social media, but man, the second that this was announced today, somebody was complaining, "Oh, I booked my trip for mid-June. Thanks. It's not going to be open. Thanks." I'm like, well, mid-June is still spring. The park has said early summer since September of last year when they announced it. Yeah. So that is not the park's fault. That is your fault for your inability to read.
Right. And everyone's just going to complain. It's just like we were talking to some friends. It's like, oh, well, I only got 3 chicken tenders instead of the 4 that I'm supposed to get. Or it's just like, calm down. It'll be okay. It'll be all right. Just like, oh, okay. So I'm going to go on the soapbox for just a smidge. I know everybody and their mother wants Derby Dogs, the hot dog place, to open. Okay. Everybody and their mother. Every time I post a picture,
other food.
It doesn't matter. I could post a picture of a sunset. Doesn't matter. Beautiful sunset. Awesome. There'll always be one person's like, so was Derby Dogs open today? And if anybody doesn't know what Derby Dogs is, it's literally a little tall.
Nobody does because it's never open.
A small stand that Subway used to be in there, and then they revamped it. They only make hot dogs there that have like some, not like crazy toppings, just normal toppings for a hot dog. And then you could also get a walking taco there. By the way, you can get a walking taco upstairs right now at Grand Pavilion. I think it's actually better because you can customize a little bit more of the chip selection. But anyway, so I'll post like a really, really good photo of the sunset, whatever. And someone will be, so is Derby Dogs open? No, Derby Dogs wasn't open. It'll get open when it gets open. But the thing that I say, and I turn it around and I'm like, well, would you be mad if Backbeat Barbecue wasn't open and Derby Dogs was?
I would be very upset if that was the trade-off. Just saying.
I'm just saying it might be a staffing issue. It might be something. And then they'll just be like, maybe we'll close, Grand Pavilion, or we can close Farmhouse because everybody wants Derby Dogs open. And then once that happens, it'll be like, well, why is that all closed? Hey, you know what? Cedar Point's hiring. Feel free to go on cedarpoint.com/jobs and get yourself a summer job. And I mean, it's a fun job. You definitely get a lot of perks. I think tonight or something, I saw something that they're having a bunch of ERT on a bunch of stuff and everything. So you get like ride nights and stuff. If you're an employee, like go do that. But I'm sure the park wants Derby Dogs open. It's probably just a staffing issue.
Literally, I went on Facebook as you were talking, and Cedar Point Uncensored, that wonderful, quote unquote, heavily air quoting here, wonderful group. For freak sake, except he didn't say freak, open Derby Dogs posted 4 hours ago. Every day. Every freaking day.
Yeah. Hey, visit number 8. Derby Dog still isn't open. Okay, great. Cool. Go eat at Grand Pavilion, or
there's so many better things in the park to eat. There's literally 2 different places inside of Grand Pavilion that are better. And
if you really, really, really want that walking taco that Derby Dogs has, they're starting to serve it at Stockade if you want that specific walking taco. But yeah, so
anyways,
positive note on the food really quick that I just thought of. I got to eat at Kings Island at Soak City, their water park, right? Dude, I had their smoked wings, and
I've always heard those are super good.
Really good, very meaty. I think I had like 6 or 7, I'm not sure. And then they also gave me apple, I think, was it turnovers or no? I can't remember. It was something apple, but I was like, whoa. And they gave me 3, and it was literally so much amount of food. And and also just another tangent, Cedar Point and all the other amusement parks and stuff, they're not a 5-star restaurant. They're not going to have like the crazy cuisine and stuff. They've got tasteful options.
Damn good.
Right, and it's like, dude, if you want like the filet mignon of whatever, go to a freaking steakhouse. I don't know. Like the park is trying to do whatever with they don't have like a, well, you guys all bought the meal plan, so we've got like this huge budget for everybody's going to get T-bone steaks anytime they order a steak. It's like, do you not see the food prices and stuff? So that's just my tangent. Is people just need to chill out. But
you can say that again.
Bringing it back home. If you're in the park on CoasterMania this coming Friday, Kyle is going to post this, I believe, tonight or tomorrow.
Yep.
And feel free to join us at the Iron Dragon photo. I'm sorry, the Iron Dragon sign, where we'll take the photo and then we will be riding Iron Dragon shortly after that photo, as a group. And we'll have some fun, and that's at 3:45. Come and say hi, and yeah, I think that's all I've got. Kyle, Evan, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I have one little thing.
Yeah.
So before the last time I was on the show, I said I was going on a work trip, and if all went according to plan, I would get to visit Busch Gardens Williamsburg and King's Dominion.
Oh yeah.
Well, all did not go according to plan. I had a heck of a travel day, let me tell you what. So I was supposed to leave on a Sunday, and I didn't need to be at my work location until Monday, but I wanted to go on Sunday to go to Busch Gardens Williamsburg.
Okay.
And I was supposed to fly into Richmond at like 2. And then have a rental car, have a rental car in hand by 3, be there by 4:30, and the park was open until 10. So it still would have been, a good day. Well, we get on the plane, and I was connecting through Atlanta. So this is an important part of the story, because I have all the Delta rewards points and the credit card and everything. So I usually only fly Delta, and they don't fly direct from Orlando to Richmond. So the only way to get there was connect through either Atlanta or JFK. So I chose Atlanta. We get on the plane and we get seated and everything, and the pilot goes, "Hey everybody, just a heads up, we just got word from the tower in Atlanta that some piece of equipment on the runway is broken." He knew what it was, but as I'm retelling the story, I don't remember what it was. We're hoping to have an update for you in about a half hour, but we can't land in Atlanta until that piece of equipment's back up. So 35 minutes go by, and the pilot comes back on. He's like, "Hey everybody, just letting you know that Atlanta just issued a ground stop. And if nobody knows what ground stop is, that means nobody in or out of the airport. All traffic is completely shut down."
Wow.
So Atlanta is it's the busiest airport in the country. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah.
He's like, "So instead of having you sit on the plane, we're going to pull everybody off. And we're going to chill out in the terminal. And once the ground stop is over, we'll be good to go. We'll have you back in the air." So I get off the plane, and at this point, I'm now going to miss my connection in Atlanta. So I have to go and book a later flight for that. So I'm all rebooked. Everything's good. About an hour later, we get back on the plane, and the pilot's like, "All right, everybody, we're good to go. Everybody take your seats. We're going to push back from the gate, and we're going to get going." So we push back from the gate, and we start to taxi. And there was such a line of planes heading from Orlando to Atlanta that we sat in line to taxi for an hour.
Oh God.
And it might have even been a little more than an hour.
For a 30-minute flight.
Yeah, literally. And we were almost to the front of the line, and the pilot comes on. He's like, "Hey, everybody, just want to let you know, I just timed out." He's like, "I've been here since 5 a.m. I just timed out." Normally, it's okay because, we've already pushed back and everything, but since we're still waiting to taxi, I don't know if they're going to let me fly. So I need to find out what's going on. I'll give you an update when I can. And he came back on 5 minutes later, and he was like, "Hey, everybody, so they're not going to let me fly. So we're going back to the gate. We're going to deplane and wait for another crew."
God.
So at this point,
you could have driven to Atlanta.
Yeah. So I'm now rebooking my flights to Atlanta, or my connection from Atlanta to Richmond for a second time. Yeah. And it was starting to look like I wasn't even going to get to Richmond until like 11:45 at night. And I was like, you know what?
Oh my God.
I was like, you know what? I don't need to be there today. I'm going to miss BGW. I'm going to miss King's Dominion even if I get there today. I'm just going to cut my losses. I'm going to go home and I'll deal with this later. So I go back to my car, and kicker of this story is I asked the gate agent if he could pull my bag. I was like, can you take my bag off the plane? I'm going home. And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, yeah, we'll go get your bag. No problem. And a couple seconds goes by and his face just goes white and he goes, uh-oh. And I'm like, oh my God, what? Uh-oh, what? And he goes, I don't know how to tell you this, but your bag made it to Richmond. Your bag's at the Richmond airport. And I was like, How in the hell am I still here and my bag made it to Richmond?
So they put it on the wrong plane?
Well, he said a lot of times, specifically to Atlanta, they have so many flights taking off and landing at the same time that they just put bags in whatever plane they fit in, and then they deal with it in Atlanta. God. So I found out that my bag made it out on a flight that took off like 10 minutes before the ground stop got issued. And once we would have made it to Atlanta, they would have put it on the right plane. It would have been fine. But I just never made it to Atlanta, but my bag did. So anyway, my bag spent the night in Richmond. So
nice.
I go home without my bag, and I'm on my way home, and
that
I was
would
like,
have freaked me the hell out.
You'd be like, well, I guess I'm not going to take a bag when I go there. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, they're literally like, yeah, believe it or not, this happens kind of more than you'd think. Your bag will be fine. It's going to be in the the baggage office, so keep your ticket. When you land, just go and they'll go get it for you, and it'll be all good. And it was, to their credit, like nothing was wrong, nothing was missing, everything was good.
That's good.
Wouldn't trust that on a Frontier flight, but okay.
Yeah. The next day when I made it, I went and I took my ticket. They were like, oh yep, your bag made it here yesterday. Here you go, have a good one. So anyway, I'm now on my way home, from the airport, and instead of playing around on their app, I'm like, I'm just gonna call Delta and see if they can just work with me over the phone, like to rebook this thing.
Yeah.
So I called, and the people I talked to were very nice. I told them my situation, and they were like, we'll go ahead and get you rebooked. We've talked to about 30 people from your flight that want to do the same thing, but we'll go ahead and get you rebooked.
Okay.
So they booked me for first thing Monday morning, and they go, thank you for being like so understanding. You have no idea how much we've been getting yelled at today and how many people have just been taking their frustrations out. Thank you for being nice. Like, good on you. And they're like, can we help you out in any way? And I was like, well, I don't need a seat upgrade for a 30-minute flight. But if you want to like throw some miles or a flight voucher my way, like, I'm not going to complain. And they're like, oh, well, let me see what we can do. And she comes back, she puts me on hold, and she comes back like 2 minutes later, and she's like, okay, so I can get you 50,000 miles, or I can get you a $500 flight voucher. Which one do you want? And I was like, I will take the flight voucher. Absolutely, I will take the flight voucher.
There you go.
So anyway, super long story short, I made it to Williamsburg on Monday morning, and because of that, I had to cut out King's Dominion on my trip. So I did not get to get over to King's Dominion. I did not get to get on Rapterra, but I did get to get on Big Bad Wolf, the Wolf's Revenge at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and let me tell you, that is a good ride. Good ride. B&Ms lately have been very rattly. I don't know what they did different on this one, but this one is glass smooth.
Good.
I really hope that it stays that way, but as of now, it is glass smooth. Did either of you ever go on the original Big Bad Wolf?
Mm-hmm.
No. I never did either, but let me tell you, I was with some people who have been going to that park forever, for their entire lives, and like, they almost cried when they walked up to the entrance. Like, the level of like this ride, this legacy is so special to the people that grew up with this park. They love it. And they did a fantastic job theming this thing. The station is themed to the nines. The queue is themed to the nines. The whole courtyard entrance plaza is themed. There's onboard audio. You fly through the Bavarian Village. You fly through a wolf trap. You fly through the celebration at the end. I mean, that's awesome. This ride is a complete fan service to the people who grew up with the Big Bad Wolf. And coming from Busch Gardens Williamsburg, who their last couple investments have been okay on the theming side, not great. To see
Especially
that,
Pantheon.
Yeah, to see that they are still capable of this level of theming and storytelling is really refreshing to see.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, the ride, it's super smooth. It's really whippy. It's a little bit faster than I thought it would be.
Okay.
It's very similar to Phoenix Rising and Busch Gardens Tampa. So it's a
except it's smooth.
Yeah, it's a B&M family inverted coaster. But this one it's a better layout for one. It's a longer layout. Has 2 lift hills, and it can run 2 trains.
Oh wow! Okay.
The one in Tampa only is able to run 1 train, so the waits for that are a little painful. But they were running 2 trains like a champ. I can't say enough good things about this ride. It was fantastic. Again, it's not the most thrilling because it's not supposed to be, but as we've talked about time and time again on this show, it is just one of those rides that is just plain fun. And as I get older and travel to more parks, I appreciate that more and more. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so. No, I would. I'm curious if B&M has like when parks buy their new coasters and stuff, it's like, do you want option A or do you want option B? B is $5,000 less, but option A is $5,000 more, and everyone seems to be going with B. Maybe Busch Gardens Williamsburg is like, let's go with option A. Let's pay the extra $5,000 just
and get a smooth ride.
And be like, but we're gonna go with option A, and literally it's the smooth ride. They have no idea, but so.
like even from that same company, they opened 2 family B&M coasters last year: Penguin Trek at SeaWorld Orlando and Phoenix Rising at Busch Gardens Tampa. As much as I love both of those rides, they both have a bad rattle. And
I understand it. Yeah.
I've really heard that about Penguin.
Yeah. I went in to it is worse on Penguin Trek than it is on Phoenix Rising, like FYI. It's much more noticeable on Penguin Trek. But I went into this thing just expecting it to be rattly, and I was so happy when it wasn't. And I even thought, well, maybe I just got a really, really good ride. I rode it like 4 or 5 more times, and it was glass smooth every time.
Good.
That's good to hear. That's really
good to hear. Hopefully B&M turned a corner again and got back to how they used to be.
Hopefully. But
get rid of option B, everybody's just gonna get option A.
Other than that, I mean, I don't have a whole lot. We have to wrap this up so I can go pack. I mean, it's 9:00 at night, and I'm leaving for the airport tomorrow at like 8 a.m. So,
yeah, for sure. Well, I would assume we're gonna have a podcast next week. I'm just talking about CoasterMania, and maybe then we'll take a break, and then we'll have Sirens Curse.
Sirens Curse stuff. So yeah.
And then, I'm excited. Come to that group photo at 3:45 on Friday. Come hang out, come say hi. But yeah, I'm excited to see you again in person, Kyle, and we'll finally get some warmish, maybe rain driven. I don't know, warmish rides on Top Thrill 2.
Hopefully. All right. Well, let's wrap this thing up. I'm super excited to see you at CoasterMania, Carsten, and all of our listeners. That's all I got. I'm going to go pack. See ya.
I am excited for you to be here for CoasterMania. I'm not doing the event, but it'll be great to at least stop by and see you. And, all the good stuff. See you next week.
And make sure you follow us with your podcast and tell your friends to listen to us. We really appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to the Rundown on Fun. Don't forget to follow us on social media for all the latest updates from Six Flags Entertainment. And remember, always be kind to your ride operators. See you soon.